siguro kung di ako siguro
sorry. I think late ako nag-press nito. Okay. Naman tayo dyan. Episode na natin to. Okay lang.
Live, di ba?
May backup tayo. May live tayo. We can use that as a backup. But eto na. Sorry, man. Like, I'm pressing so many things. So, maybe Mark, ulitin mo lahat. No, I'm kidding. So, dun sa mga, kamusta naman dyan? Ito po yung Project Pilipinas. Ito po yung latest episodes na ginagawa natin. First post-elections episode. So, probably if you're watching this, you missed the past 30 minutes, which was the pre-episode background discussion. At ang gusto namin maintindihan dito, mga kaibigan, is bakit nanalo yung mga pula at bakit natalo yung mga rosas at saka mga azul. Azul, right? Azul. Yeah. So going back to that, between I and Mark, aking vlogger, mentor ko yan si mentor yung kabila.
Kaya ka na pagkakamalang vlogger.
Yung mentor vlogger ko. Kayo alam mo may kasalanan yung vlogger ako, ito si Mark. Mark, mag-ano ka na, mag-ganyan ka, sayang, ayaw nga, no, di ba? So, gusto ko maintindihan kasi between the two of us, you have been more directly involved, at least in one camp. Obviously, alam nga naman na sa dalawang bangka. Isa lang naman yung bangka mo, di ba? So we want to understand ano yung basa nyo dito sa, talagang pumalpak ako late yung record ko. So let's just pretend this was all, just me being cool, no? So in the shortest way possible, how do you understand Isko going from number 2 in the second quarter of last year, considered one of the top candidates, to ending number 4 behind Manny Pacquiao? Manny Pacquiao became number 3. Halos wala yata siyang ginastos. Like, yung ibang tao, nagmamani-mani na lang bigla. Like, how do we understand that, Mark? I hope I'm not putting salt into your wounds.
No. We can discuss naman. Hindi, yung sa recap, yung kanina na pag-usapan natin, before mo na. Yun nga, of course, ang pinaka-biggest factor for BBM to surge that much is yung Duterte factor, pagpasok ni Sara.
Right.
And yung Duterte magic coming from dun sa Matanda with sa Visayas, Mindanao. So yun, definitely yun, malaking factor. Doon pa lang umabante na siya. Tapos Leni, of course, she has intact yung kanyang solid na base since 2016, yung kaaway ng mga DDS all this time. So yun, solid yun. Tapos nung near elections na, nag-coalesce around Leni Robredo. Yung kay Manny Pacquiao, I guess doon papasok yung sa region. Siguro if ito kung meron kaming mistake sa campaign, I think isang mistake din na I can say, na I can openly say.
Let's go. Yeah,
our message didn't resonate sa probinsya.
Right.
Yeah, mahina talaga. Hindi nag-resonate for whatever
Dahil paras silang taga Manila, Isko and Willie Ong. Is that also what if the VP of Isko was like, let's say, I don't know, Governor Gwen Garcia. Sorry, Gwen Garcia.
Garcia.
Ito na naman ako
Garcia sa Viva Hotmail.
Sorry
sa Viva Max.
Gwen Garcia tsaka Tito Boy Soto.
I don't know kung if that would have helped.
That was a factor, yeah.
Pero yung sa messaging siguro, or sa siguro doon papasok yung kasi Isko was a local politician yung kanyang buong career. Unlike pag senator ka, talagang umiikot ka na, may mga projects ka na left and right sa mga probinsya.
But Tatay Digong was LGU through and through, right? I mean,
yun nga, siguro we were aiming for that
Tatay, di ba?
Siguro that was what we were aiming for na what happened to Digong. Pero yun nga, the more we realize na Digong is parang once in a
hindi mo maulit it's
mahirap hindi maulit
phenomenon kasi siya hindi mo maulit ang phenomenon. It happens once ever. That's it.
And Digong is LGU pero from Mindanao. So he was the first na from Mindanao and from Visayas after a very long time, di ba? So so we didn't resonate sa probinsya. We tried speaking about agriculture, about mga fisheries, pero siguro hindi nagkiklik kasi walang walang background. And doon may si Manny Pacquiao. So, meron siyang solid na
sa Mindanao,
base sa Mindanao and sa Visayas pag Bisaya siya. So, ayun,
Tapos senador siya, so meron siyang mga nagawang siguro projects or something national
Yeah.
scale, parang ganun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero tingin ko baka ano din. Syempre, to be honest lang din. Baka
Yeah, let's just be honest, bro. I mean,
reading from the analysis kasi mahirap na I'm too close to the middle eh. Pero reading from analysis din, Isko was on ano eh, parang attack mode nga eh. Attack mode, a lot of part dun sa aming campaign. So maybe that
too aggressive si Isko? He was too aggressive at some point?
Yeah. Baka yung mga tao. Pero the thing is kasi BBM was able to parang ano yung mga tao na hindi dapat pag ano hindi ka tumitira, hindi ka dapat.
Yeah, yung hindi kami naninira, I think was
really a
strategy.
It really resonated eh. Pero for the longest time, tsaka si Isko sanay kasi sa local eh. Yung mga local na laban like mayor versus mga mayoralty na laban na talagang grabe magbatuhan ng mud between the candidates.
Tondo boy siya. I mean, siga eh.
Yeah.
Siga talaga. Ako kasi, ito bro, I'll just say that, Mark. Kaya nga akala ko, that's the point of having a VP candidate, to do the dirty job, right? To go on the aggressive side. Or if you have trolls, let the trolls do it. Kasi, in the case of BBM, he could just be nice and all because there are all other those people who could do the attack for him, right? So, pag sa kanya, hindi kami nanira. And in the case of Leni, I think sometimes Kiko would try to do that for her. If pansin mo, even Leni herself would never engage. Very rarely, except dun sa mga interview niya with Tito Boy Abunda, yung in-attack na yung ibang candidates. Oh my goodness, ano yun, diba? Pati si Pacquiao, diba? Oh my goodness, bakit niya sinabi yun, diba? Ano sinabi niya, sinungaling si BBM, di ba sabi niya doon? I mean, aside from that, wala masyadong. But Isko was like his own attack guy eh. Like parang wow, man. Like wow, relax.
Kasi Doc Willie Ong won't eh.
Si Willie Ong pa yung mabait eh.
Oo eh. Pero kay Leni din, kay VP and senatorial, hindi din nga masyadong umaatake eh. Di ba? Kaya yun nga yung aking si Luke Espiritu pa. Yung masasabi mong talagang
outside na siya.
Outside na eh. Outside eh. Hindi dun sa...
Yeah.
So, yun eh. Pero at the end of the day, talagang parang pag tinitignan ko ngayon, parang hindi ko makita how to beat itong juggernaut na Marcos and Duterte na magkasama talaga.
So essentially, we arrive at the same conclusion, which is the moment na nag-lock in itong combo na yan, it was just close to impossible. Kaya sabi ko nga, to be fair to Leni, let me be fair. Before I go to the Leni strategy and a little bit also on Isko, structurally, so this is structural. So kahit anong gagawin natin, yan talaga eh, di ba? Structural na to eh. Both Isko and Leni had really a big problem. That was nagsama yung dalawang camp. Had Sara decided to run, my argument is I think BBM would have dropped out. I mean, I just can't see how BBM can pull it off or if he can take another defeat after 2016, no? Kaya talagang crucial for BBM to convince Sara. So Martin Romualdez, Arroyo, they all played a very important role. Si Gwen Garcia, right? I mean, that whole cabal, I think did a very good thing.
Frasco, yung anak niya.
Mahusay yung ginawa nila yun. So I think the moment nagsama yung dalawa, ang hirap na talaga. Now, ang basa ko dito, please Mark, disagree with me if you want. Now, the other structural disadvantage, by the way, I saw both for Leni and Isko was this. In the case of Leni, obviously, the disadvantage for her was the association with the very color that she abandoned in favor of Rosas. Let's just be very honest about it. Why did she go pink? I mean, we know why, right? But the association didn't go away. And if yung pangalan ng campaign manager mo is, you know what I'm saying, the science of that, then it's going to be hard for her. So I think she had also that issue. Like it helped her consolidate the 15-20%. But it also allowed for the other side to say, ay, wag natin ibalik mga yan. Kung si Leni manalo, mga ano na naman ulit, diba? So I think that was another limitation, almost structural limitation Leni faced. In the case of Isko also, of course, one of the things I kept on hearing, Mark, dun sa mga kausap natin, mga kapatid natin from different socioeconomic classes, no? Parating sinasabi nila, alam mo, okay si Isko sa akin, pero bata pa. And that's why, kaya nga napansin mo yung sinasabi ko parati, bakit si Isko, naka-rubber shoes na stand, tapos so he looks cool, but he doesn't look presidential. He looks like senatorial. Parang sabi nga nung isang prof ko na nagsama ko, sabi niya, oo nga no, gusto ng Pinoy tatay pero hindi kuya. Di ba bilang presidente? So, kasi sabi ko, wait lang, Sara is even younger. Di ba? Pacquiao is younger than Isko, but I never heard any of them say, bata masyado si Pacquiao or Sara. But everyone says, so sabi ko, baka kasalanan niya masyadong makinis yung skin niya, di ba? And yung format. So I just, honestly, we can make fun of it, but image is everything. It's branding, bro. It's branding. Ako napansin ko, pag shaved ako, iba yung market ko. Pag may beard ako, iba yung market ko. Diba? These little things actually matter. So I was always wondering about that. Sana medyo mas... But so that was one thing. And you're also right. Wala siyang bailiwick. Wala siya. I mean, he's a Manila guy through and through. Like Leni had Bicol, the other had solid South, solid North. That made it very hard. No. Now, going to Isko, isang concern ko dyan with Isko is, I think communications. Please tell me, like the communications was not as disciplined as it should have been. One reason is, aminin natin bro, madaldal si Isko. I mean, he's great if you want to interview him, like ang dami mong material. But that's also a minefield because he can make a lot of mistakes, right? Lalong-lalo na in a race na lahat naghahanap ng mistakes, di ba? Tingnan mo si BBM, very... kaya ikaw baka mamaya ma-accredit ka na sa Malacanang, hindi kami na sa media, pag-usapan natin yan. Kasi, di ba? Delikado yan. And then, ang basa ko rin dito kasi it became a... And then Isko went from playing it safe on Marcos, at least this looks to a lot of people from outside, especially mga critical. And then bandang dulo, Isko was even more aggressive on Marcos than any other candidate, right? Yung attack niya doon sa real estate,
203 billion
sa West Philippine Sea. I'm sorry, look at the Comelec debate, the last one, Isko was the most aggressive on Marcos. Yung parang nag-Cayetano versus Marcos, parang yun na nangyari. Like, yung parang, wait lang. So for some people, that was a kind of a too much of a swing. That perhaps, again, perception ng pinag-usapan natin, Marca. You can disagree with me in terms of intention, strategy behind it, but I think that's how it looked like. It went a little bit too wild, parang nag-crossover, kumbaga kung NBA, di ba, nag-crossover siya. And then, to be honest, I think the fights with the Leni camp, I think that was not really helpful at all. I think the press conference was horrible and we saw it. It damaged him significantly. Also, si GMRC. Also, he was very much affected by that. At para sa akin, like, that's the last thing these two guys need. Now, going to Leni's side, para naman fair, na hindi mo sabihin, natakpo lang si Isko. Well, nanalo na si BBM, so ano yung criticize ko dyan, di ba? Ang titignan lang natin, yung 200 million lang daw yung ginastos. Okay. But speaking of Len, I think ito, Marco, siguro this is where I'm slightly more critical than you. Ayan na, maano na ako. No, because my sense was, ito na, para may Ferrari ka na, di ba? Meron ka ng vice ganda. Meron ka ng Piolo. You know, you have, ang dami mong mga volunteers. Ang galing ang ganda para sa akin, bakit sa April, March na next level sila? Parang medyo late na Kasi kung titignan mo yung surveys, bro, nung January, December, dun sa 40-50% ni Bongbong, ito yung difference, Marca. December, January, mga 40-50% si Bongbong. Ganon din bandang dulo. But yung soft voters ay mas marami nung una. Lumilit yung soft voters as time goes by. So ang isang basa ko dito is hindi na maximize yung itong mga assets na meron yung mas mauna pa. Feeling ko kung nangyari yan, the race could have been far closer, not 2-to-1 ratio. So while I completely agree with you, Leni, in fairness, you went from 5% to 26, 25% or even more, diba? At the same time, ang dami niyang assets din Sayang diba? Tapos yung hinamon pa niya si Marcos, bandang dulo na yan. Sana nung December pa lang, hinahamon niya na si Marcos or November pa lang Bakit? Takot ka? You want to be a president? Ayaw mo ng job interview? Alam mo yung ganon? Because that's not paninira, that's a challenge. Hindi mo naman, wala ka naman sinasabing bastos Ang sinasabi mo lang, gusto mo maging president, ayaw mo mag-job interview. You know what I'm saying? Like, parang ito nga, may Ferrari ka na, but you're driving like a Fiat Masyadong ingat. Kotse mo pang sports all the way ka na, di ba? Habang kay Isko naman, nag-start agad na sports mode Di ba? Wait lang, ayusin pa natin yung oil niya, ayusin pa natin. Then, sports ko na to So, yan ang basa ko on a very, of course, surface level pa lang. I mean, a book will come out hopefully on this. Don't worry about it. But on the surface level, itong gusto kong sabihin sa ating mga followers natin dyan. Kamusta kayo dyan sa mga YouTube? Talagang vlogger ako, Mark. Thanks tayo, bro. Thanks sa'yo. All right. Okay. I don't know, Mark. Tell me if you, and then I'll be honest. I'll be very, so, I think the campaign managers of the two camps, while they did a great job in many ways, also didn't help them in certain way, right? So I said, in the case of Leni, nagrosas ka, but your campaign manager is associated with, right? yellow, right? In the
And
case
your whole
of,
senatorial slate.
oh yeah,
And
yung pa.
yeah.
And in the case of Isko naman, the campaign manager was very associated with Duterte, so it made it very difficult for others na gusto kay Leni pero hindi sure to go to Isko. So it made it easy for the Leni supporter to say, wala trapo yan, Duterte light yan. You get what I'm saying? I'm just going to be brutal. I'm not going to say anyone is bad. I'm just saying in the level of optics, yan ang medyo naging concern natin ngayon. So while like, did people even know Abalos? I mean, I know Abalos because Mandaluyong, but average people, are they aware of, you know what I'm saying? Kay Mayor Abalos, hindi, diba? Kung tignan mo yung team ni Bongbong Marcos, they're all, I won't say gray figures, but they're all very low-key figures, right? Even, of course, executive secretary, diba? I mean, look at it, Vic Rodriguez, diba? I mean, they're all so low-key guys na sobrang, but yung tignan mo yung si Banat si Banayo nga nagbibigay ng interviews right and left nung interview pa lang, and of course Bam Aquino is very well known, right? So yun lang, I'm just saying like I think that became advantage for Bongbong, that he had a campaign manager or team that was actually very low key, and then siya rin very parang keeping away and regulating. And in the end, that worked for a lot of people. Lalo yung mga tao na pagod na sa mga paninira. Kasi ito na nga, nasa gitna tayo ng pandemya, may economic crisis. We cannot afford. Kaya nga, sabi nga ni Vic Rodriguez, di ba? Kalmado lang tayo. Ayaw ng tao ng paninira at pag-aaway. Gusto lang po natin, kaya upload natin sa YouTube yung mga platform natin.
Kasi by that time, they knew na locked in They knew na locked in They just have to defend yung kung ano yung na-lock in nila na supporters sa akin you mentioned kanina na Isko in the beginning is parang holding back na tumira kay Marcos, di ba? Kasi ang part din ng plan ng campaign Isko, pagkabasa ko though hindi naman ako kasama doon sa pero
let's just you're not the campaign manager, exactly.
Was to stay away from the martial law issue. Kasi parang we knew ako nararamdaman ko na din na unfortunately majority of Pinoys are now favoring yung narrative ng Marcos regarding martial law, which is crazy thinking about what a difference in 6 years lang. 6 years lang na
Duterte,
2015
who buried Marcos in the cemetery of national heroes. In that 6 years, the Marcoses were fully rehabilitated. Like Duterte is the best thing that ever happened to the Marcoses. Like he's the greatest gift ever.
You were spot on dun sa ano mo na yun. We knew So there was a conscious effort na to stay away from that, and pag mag-usapan na lang yung si Bongbong na lang mismo, yung kanyang credentials or yung mga ginawa niya or lack thereof, parang ganon. So kay Leni naman, we knew na meron siyang built-in na audience talaga. Kaso malaki yung percentage din ng what we knew din from the start na malaki din yung percentage ng Pilipino na merong hatred towards her. Na hindi niya kasalanan din naman.
So disinformation, is that what you're saying? You're saying disinformation was a big factor in these elections. You know better than me. I mean, at least you used to know better than me because you're more active on social media than me at least before. Ngayon, wala, vlogger na ako. Sorry na.
Vlogger na
We're same level na ngayon. Sorry na. Nakahabol na.
A credit.
Pero ikaw, maging accredited vlogger ako, illegal.
pero yun nga okay, kasi propaganda na launch towards her sa radio, sa TV, sa social media, araw-araw for 6 years. It takes an effect May effect talaga So I knew na it's all leading up dito sa 2022 Ang masama nga nun for the Dutertes, sila yung naghanda for 6 years nitong mga atake na to, mga DBS. Tapos sila yung nagsaing, ang kumain yung mga Marcos. Di ba? So yung mga Marcos.
May DepEd si Sarah. Kaya
pero it's different Sarah is different din nga kasi from the boys di ba? Doon sa mga sa inner circle ni Digong So sila yung naghanda, sila yung nagano.
Yeah. At saka iba yung mommy niya, I mean, di ba? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go
Iba
into the internal Duterte family, ibang usapan na yan. But for me, that was the biggest failure of Duterte. It's inability to engineer his succession. Because clearly he's not happy that neither his daughter or
Yeah,
Bongbong.
and yung part na yon, yun ang hindi na-capitalize, I think, nung sa side ng kakampigs. Kasi I remember at that time, this time last year, I was the only one shouting about that. Sobrang konti lang. Na merong tension sa loob. Kasi nga,
Dahil pinapanood mo sila Banat Bay versus yung mga the other vloggers.
Yeah, kasi nag-aaway na.
Yeah,
Hindi masyadong nakapitalize, hindi masyadong
Tama.
So, pero I think ang yung mga atake na yun kay Leni, and I think isang naging mistake din, at least in terms of sa election sa 2022, yung sobrang pag-atake naman niya kay Digong for 6 years.
And Digong is very popular. So who would have expected 6 years ago na even after all those attacks, Digong would still be that popular? Yeah. It's a phenomenon.
It never happened before.
It never happens. Yeah, it's once in a century. And yet he failed to engineer his succession. That's my thing. I mean, I'll ask you a question before we go to the end of this episode. Medyo tumagal na tayo. Kasi may isa pang episode tayo, bloggers versus journalists. BNK.
Exciting yan.
Bloggers and journalists episode. You think if Sarah run, shoe-in na siya? In retrospect, she got more votes than BBM, right? As VP. I mean, ang basa ko,
but it would have been more exciting.
Or Leni.
It would have been more exciting for
more competitive,
more competitive for others.
So medyo
if Sarah ran, if Sarah ran and Bongbong also, pagkasabay sila tumakbo. Pero kung si Sarah tumakbo tas umatras din si Bongbong, baka it would have been the same.
Baka pumunta kay Isko yung ibang numbers ni Bongbong, parang gano'n.
Yun,
para mas
ganun.
Interest. So you're
siguro last lang kaya hindi din ako masyadong stress nitong mga huling kasi around Feb, March, at around that time medyo nakikita ko na na Bongbong's number hindi bababa
in the last
move we were hoping for a miracle Syempre in any campaign naman you always have that small pa rin na fight for a miracle. Our play has always been nung latter part ng campaign was getting Digong votes Pero
Digong kami endorsement.
Yeah, Digong endorsement and Digong na yung mga people who mga fans ni Digong, yung mga supporters ni Digong. Right. But doon kami hindi din naging successful kung babasahin sa results.
Ako ba?
Pero that was the only way.
Like if he became 20 nung February, I think endorse siya ni Tatay Digong. Then I think it could have, but hindi. So Tatay Digong was being safe. He's a politician. He knows,
and may factor din kasi nga na around the time na yung buong endorsement by Digong was kumakalat. That was also the time that Leni was surging. Yung malalaking rallies and so there was talaga na if hahatiin mo pa si Bongbong, Leni
manalo pa yung kabila.
Manalo pa yung kabila, kulong tayo lahat. Parang
that's a good way of putting it. Dito na tayo kay Bongbong, di ba? Yun, kasi ito, please correct me if this is a controversial point, but we have a lot of anecdotal evidence saying that they voted for Bongbong Marcos not because Bongbong Marcos is really their guy. They maybe had Sarah, but of course Sarah is not running. They had Lacson or Isko, even Pacquiao, but they just didn't want Leni to win, the Yellows to come back. So they just went for BBM because he was the safest, surest way to prevent that. So that 50-60% is not the Bongbong 50-60%. That's a Sarah plus Bongbong plus a lot of Isko, a lot of Lacson put together. So Leni was essentially against all of these people. So it became a referendum against the yellow camp, the opposition camp for that matter. Do you buy that?
Hindi dapat. Exactly. You're right on point 100%. And kung isipin mo, hindi dapat. Kasi,
hindi dapat yun mangyari sa opposition.
Hindi dapat mangyari yun kasi ang tagal na ni Pinoy. So,
and God bless him. I mean, he did also many good things. I mean, dapat sa kanya isisip.
Siguro if Leni distanced herself from Liberal Party much earlier.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And then the campaign team, etc., was totally different talaga.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Then the strategy
kasi yung base niya would go for her na
Regardless.
Regardless
kasi even na yan. Tama.
Oo.
Tama ka. Basa mo.
Yun ang
That's true.
so ang buong point ko, so kaya di din ako ganun kalungkot or ano kasi 8 months, 6 months is very short na time. Bongbong has been preparing for 10 years, for 12 years.
Or actually 31 years since 1991 nung bumalik sila.
Since
Imelda tumakbo na agad.
Imelda pala tumakbo na.
So 31 years.
You can say that.
8 months. Right, yeah.
Yeah, pero I mean with the whole social media and sa akin yun ang kung if yung the last 10 years, yung the best thing that they have done is yung how they dominated yung platforms like YouTube. Yun talaga, yun ang paulit-ulit ko sinasabi na hindi naniniwala sa akin people from the other camp or sa
si Leloy, 'di ba? Sa Leloy, yung Pinoy Monkey Pride, 2011-12 pa yan, 'di ba? Ang tagal na yan eh. Ang tagal na yan eh. Pinabayaan lang. Ikaw ang pinakatama sa issue na actually, Mark, thanks to you and our conversation. I always say, may natulog sa pansitan. Pinabayaan talaga ang YouTube talaga. And then nung dumating ang TikTok, nag-next level na tong disinformation issue. So ang kapalpakan dyan, strategy rin at saka lack of regulation of social media. So that's not just dapat, kumbaga disinformation is a symptom of a deeper issue. At isa dyan, yung iba dyan, dahil medyo social na sila, ayaw nila patulan ng YouTube. Ako kasi makapal ang mukha ako pinatulan ko lahat, di ba?
Pero ngayon, after this election, meron ng mga pro-Leni vloggers na.
Ngayon pa lang, bro.
Ngayon pa lang.
Di ba? At least ako nag-start last year pa, di ba? I mean, hindi ko na hinintay matalo yung iba para lang. You get what I'm saying? Like, dapat hindi ganun eh. Dapat may proactiveness. Last question. Let's end this episode kasi we're gonna talk about something even more crazy. Vloggers. Soon you're gonna be a certified vlogger and I'm gonna be a vlogger. So before going to that, congratulations in advance to our token
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it, Richard.
Shout out ka sa akin, Mark. Say hi to my aspiring vlogger.
Lagay ko sa t-shirt. Hi, Richard. yung unang ano. Ikaw baka ma-jinx ako, Richard, ginaganyan mo ako. Baka hindi ako tanggapin.
Wait lang, wag natin i-release ng episode hanggang wala ka pang certificate. Baka makita ito. Or baka makita ito. O kasi bro, we root for you. We're very happy for you na ikaw yung maging token non-DDS and non-BBM vlogger. At saka ikaw may pag-asa ka, si Banat Bay wala na, hindi na maimbita yan. Okay, last question. Do you think Isko and Leni have a future in the sense that in 3 years Senate, maybe?
Yeah, 100%.
Walang constitutional change and all of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Both.
They should. And
you think both of them
tumakbo, it would be a terrible waste. So nakita naman, we have historical, we saw that with Grace po, diba, na after 3 years.
Yeah, why not?
Madali na yung kanyang senatorial run after losing sa.
But Binay lost. So how do you say that? Binay lost. He lost presidency and then he lost the Senate now.
Oo. Pero Binay is a different case naman.
Kasi wala na. Parang kumbaga Lenin Isko, pwede pa.
Oo. Hindi, I mean right after yung presidency. Kasi meron pang init eh. Meron pang awareness, meron pang
3 years pa lang. Kasi
Binay lost pa sa Makati as congressman, di ba?
Right. So, you're right. At saka, but sa service, pasok siya dati, di ba? Number 8-9 pa siya. So that was really weird na bumaba talaga siya. All right. Okay. So I think we ended on a positive note, at least for some of the losing candidates. You think, I completely agree with you. I think both Leni and Isko have a very good chance of making to Senate. And I think they should. Otherwise, mga purong senador natin, alam mo na, ayoko na magsalita. Di ba? Mama, baka ma-interview pa natin yan. Ikaw as certified vlogger and ako as an illegal vlogger. Right? Okay, so on that note, thank you very much, Mark. Maraming salamat. And let me end this. And we'll catch up with you soon. Ang next episode na pag-usapan natin, vloggers versus journalists, certified vloggers versus aspiring vloggers. All right? Thank you very much.
Sa mga kakamping, sa mga BBM, peace tayo lahat.
Yan. Ayaw ko mag-gano na kasi wala na, political lang. Yan.
Peace. Yan. Heart.
Yan. Okay. Maraming salamat.
Bye-bye.
God bless.